Hey everyone, today we're going to learn a beginner version of We Wish You Had a Merry Christmas. It's a great Christmas song to play around family and friends or around a fireplace. Now what we'll do is we'll go through the chords used so that we're familiar and comfortable with using them, and then move into how the song is played, step by step, verse by verse, nice and slow and together. Now the first thing you want to do before you start playing guitar is make sure your guitar is in tune. I suggest using a digital tuner so that your guitar is in perfect tuning. Today's song is played in standard tuning. Another great thing to do is to make sure you cut your fingernails nice and short. This will help you avoid any unnecessary muting or buzzing of the strings when you're pressing down into the frets. Now the next thing we're going to do, which is going to make it easy for me to explain the chords to you, is we're going to number our fingers. Finger number 1 is our index finger, finger number 2 is our middle finger, finger number 3 is your ring finger, and finger number 4 is going to be your pinky. Now let's move into the first chord used in the song. Okay, so in this simple version of the song, we're only going to need four chords. We're going to need a G, a C, an A, and a D. So we'll go into detail in each one of those, the first one being G chord.
The next chord, G, uses only 3 fingers. You can use whichever 3 fingers is most comfortable for you to complete the chord.
Okay, so the G chord is going to use fingers number 1, 2, and 3. Finger number 2 is going to go onto the 2nd fret of the A string. Finger number 3 is going to go on the 3rd fret of the E string. Then finger number 4 is going to come down here onto the 3rd fret of the high E string. Okay? And this is what our G chord should sound like. The next chord we're going to use is going to be the C chord.
The next chord is a C chord. The C chord uses 3 fingers.
Okay, so the C chord is going to use fingers number 1, 2, and 3. We're not going to use finger number 4. Finger number 1 we're going to place onto the 1st fret of the B string. Finger number 2 is going to come down here onto the 2nd fret of the D string. And then finger number 3 is going to come down here onto the 3rd fret of the A string. Okay? Our C chord should sound like this. The next chord we're going to learn is the A chord.
The A chord uses 3 fingers as seen in the photo.
Okay, so the A chord, we're going to use fingers number 2, 3, and 4. This is how I play it. If you have another preference of playing it a different way with different fingers, then you can definitely do that. But the way I play it, is we're going to use finger number 2. It's going to go onto the 2nd fret of the D string. Finger number 3 is going to go onto the 2nd fret of the G string. And then finger number 4 is going to come down here right below it onto the 2nd fret of the B string. It should sound like this. Okay? And the last chord we're going to learn is a D chord.
The next chord, D, uses only 3 fingers.
Okay, so the D chord uses fingers number 1, 2, and 3. So our first finger is going to go onto the 2nd fret of the G string. Finger number 2 is going to come down here onto the high E string on the 2nd fret. And finger number 3 is going to be on the 3rd fret of the B string. Okay, our D chord should sound like this. Okay, now let's move into how the song is played. Okay, so the first part of the song is when he says, "We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year." And then he goes into the chorus part, or the verse, or however you want to name them. There's only really 2 parts of the song. So in regular time, the first part, which is going to be a G, a C, an A, and a D, and then a G, a C, and a D, and a G. And in regular time, it should sound like this. Now again, this song is not really fast, so we don't have to play it too fast, but it should sound like this. Okay? Now the hardest part of that, and there's going to be a part like this in the chorus as well, is that change to the D and then back to the G. Okay? So let's go into that and play it nice and slow together. Again, it's a G, C, A, D, Now if you'll notice, when we're doing these chord changes, our D were formed like this, okay? Now when we switch, we lift up our finger number 4. Now the form that our fingers number 2 and 3 are in are going to stay like that, but they're going to move up because we're going to be placed like this for the C chord instead of like this for the G. So when we move up and we place our fingers number 2 and 3 here like this and put our finger number 1 down, that gives us our C chord. Now again, when we switch from this chord into the A chord to make things simple, you can remember that our A chord is played like so. Okay? Now when switching from the C to the A, you'll notice that finger number 2 stays put. So if you can learn to keep that down, it'll make it a little easier for you to switch the transition. So we go like this. All you gotta do is slide it up just a little bit so that you can fit your other fingers below it, right? And then to the D. Okay, and then the last part is a G, a C, then he stays on the C for one more strum, then a quick switch to the D and the G. Okay? So let's practice that together, nice and slow, especially that switch between the D and the G at the end. Okay? So on the count of 3, we'll start on the G, C, A, D, back to the G, C, C for one more strum, and then a quick D, and back to the G. Okay? Here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. C, A, D, G, C, stay on the C one more time. And then here we're going to go to the D, G. Okay, now that last part, let's play that one more time, just the last part. The G, C, C, D, G. Okay, let's do that one more time and then we're going to go back and we're going to play this verse again together, okay? So again, we'll do G, C, C, D, G. That's the last part. It's a little bit of a quick change. You practice and you'll get it, okay? So G, C, C, D, G. Okay? Now let's try the whole thing over again. On the count of 3, we'll start on the G, C, A, D. And then the last part, G, C, C, D, G. Okay, here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. C, A, D, G, C, C one more time. D, D, G. Okay. Now I'm going to play that for you one more time in regular time, just at the end here, so that you don't get lost, okay? Now pay attention here. Alright? Now that's the verse, or the intro, or honestly whatever you want to call it, because there's only 2 parts of the song. Okay, now we'll move into the next part. We'll just call it the chorus. Like I said, you can call it whatever you like. Move into that now. Okay, so the next part is going to be a G chord, D chord, A chord, back to a D chord, then a G chord, and he stays on it, then an A, D, G. Okay, so that's G, D, A, D, G, G again, and G again, and then A, D, G. Okay, in regular time, it'll sound like this. Okay? Perfect. Now let's go and we'll play it nice and slow together. Okay? Again, it's G, D, A, D, then G, and he stays on the G for a little while, and then A, D, G. Okay? So on the count of 3, we'll do this nice and slow together, and don't worry, I'll tell you when to switch the chords. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. G, D, to the A, back to the D, G, stay on the G, G, now A, D, G. Let's do that one more time, okay? 1, 2, 3, G, D, A, D, G, G, A, D, G. Okay? I know those switches from the D to the G are a little bit difficult. If you use a 4-finger G, it makes it a little bit more simple, but I don't want to bring in 4-finger Gs because I want to keep you guys on this regular G so that you get used to that. And then you can change, because a 4-finger G is completely different. It sounds almost the exact same, has one extra note, but it's played off all 4 fingers and your fingers actually change their position. Okay? Hey everyone, great job learning We Wish You Had a Merry Christmas. It's a great song to play with your family or your friends during the Christmas holidays. Now if you enjoyed this video and it helped you, don't forget to check out the rest of our videos here on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for watching, guys. Good luck.